Welcome to the Squared Circle Pit with your host, Rob Pasbani.
Oh, that's me. Welcome back to Squared Circle Pit. We are here on Knotfest.com. So excited to be back with the show. We're back. We try to do it weekly, and we hope you can join us as we celebrate the intersection of rock music and pro wrestling. Today, we're previewing the big AEW pay-per-view this weekend, AEW Revolution. It's this Sunday, March the 5th. If you're listening later on, this might be a little outdated for you, but it's all right. And I have two very special guests to talk with me about it. First, he's the guitarist and vocalist of Straight from the Path. Their new album, Euthanasia, came out last year. It is excellent. I'm here with Tom. Hello, Tom.
What up? What up?
And my second guest, he is the infamous host of Street Fight Radio. He has a new podcast called Guys, where he explores all different types of guys. I'm here with Brian Quinby.
The guy expert is here. I'm here, an expert on guy.
And there are wrestling guys, and I feel like we are wrestling guys, right? I've been a wrestling fan my whole life. How about you guys?
I've been joking about this and said that on the list of guys I'm going to do, I've left off wrestling, Lego, and one other walking guys because that's me. And I'm not going to make fun of me. But wrestling guys are on the list. At some point, I'm going to get to wrestling guys. But I do a wrestling podcast on my Patreon, so I have a bunch of wrestling guys on it.
I guess I'm a wrestling guy. I mean, I love the I love the shit, you know. But I watched it, you know, when everyone watched it back in the '90s, like Attitude Era stuff, like going to like early 2002, 2003, and then I kind of fell off it a bit. You know, getting into like music and going to shows and stuff like that. I fell off it to admit. Came back and stuff when like, you know, Punk was making his run, and then I kind of got fully back into it. My buddy Vince, he works for Violent Gentleman, great dude, and he took me to a PWG show in Reseda, and like I didn't know it, like I knew WWE, that was it, right? I didn't watch anything else, like nothing, and then like I saw like Osprey, Ricochet, Pentagon, Kenny, the Bucks, like all there, and like I didn't know anybody, right? And so like that kind of like got me into it, and then shortly after AJ Styles like came to the WWE, loved that. The whole Bullet Club, like New Japan stuff, like love that. The Ring of Honor into like, you know, Adam Cole, like going to NXT, that like that's like I fell in love again. So I'm definitely like super obsessed, like working music like when I can. I've worked on some I guess I only worked on one, like, but I did guitar on the El Phantasmo's like theme song, and I actually wrote a song for New Japan. They were gonna do a show at Madison Square Garden called Wrestle Dynasty, and I wrote like the theme song for it, and then this was like during the pandemic, and then it went away altogether, and then the song I wrote for it is the last track on the latest Straight from the Path record. So there you go.
So you took it back.
Me and you are almost exactly the same. Like our when you said, because I don't ever think about this anymore because it's been so long, but like one of my favorite runs ever is AJ in New Japan. Like he just I miss that version of him. He was so great, and that's really what got me back in, because I started watching like WWE after the WrestleMania 30.
Yeah.
And I got sick of it in like a year and a half.
Yeah.
So I had to find other stuff. And that AJ run was huge for me.
Sure. It was for me too. And like, man, the AJ John Cena stuff, great. The thing that I've realized is that because a year ago, you wouldn't catch me dead watching WWE. And now it's like awesome again. So it's like, and I'm also super excited if Cody gets a title run, because then it like just makes it fresh, just because it's like, I love Kevin Owens, I love Roman Reigns, but like how many times? You know what I mean? Like how many times do I see this? Love Brock Lesnar, love Roman Reigns. How many fucking times do I got to see this shit? So, you know, Cody, and then like rumors of like Jay White going there. You got Cody and Jay. You got Cody and Finn. You got Cody and AJ when he gets back. You got Cody and Cena. You know what I mean? Like you got all this like cool stuff that you could do now. And like, so I'm excited on WWE again. So what I realized about WWE, the shit is a roller coaster, you know? So it's like, It just comes in and comes out. Whereas like, you know, AEW is pretty like Dynamite is like the one show that I'm watching every week. I don't really watch NXT again, but where like the black and gold era NXT is maybe my favorite wrestling ever, like, which is, I guess, can be controversial. It was, I mean, man, I've seen some of it. I got to see Gargano and Cole in Brooklyn, and like, that was crazy.
Oh, yeah.
You know, like
I was there too. Yeah, that was amazing.
Great. Dude, that was the best wrestling weekend ever. Like, cause you know, I got to do, there was a NXT Access. It was my first WrestleMania, but there was NXT Access, and then there was, I think it was NXT Takeover. Then it was the Supercard at Madison Square Garden, and then Mania, and then I went to Raw, and then I went to SmackDown. It was crazy. So, but yeah, like that whole era of NXT, like to me, you couldn't fuck with it. But yeah, like AJ and New Japan, like Nakamura and stuff like that, like man, couldn't beat it. And then AJ coming. AJ definitely was one of the like few that I think saved wrestling for me. You know, so he's just like, he's just my kind of style. You know.
Yeah, he's great. I was out there that weekend, and you know what sucked is like I was in New York for WrestleMania weekend, but in order to get the business to pay for me to go to New York during WrestleMania weekend, I had to do a live show, and it was during Supercard of Honor. So like I missed it, and I'm like a big fan of like just the worst stuff in wrestling. And I'm really bummed that I missed Enzo and Cass running into the ring and pissing New Japan off.
Oh, I was there for that. That was crazy.
I still think about that.
Funny.
Yeah, that was so wild. That was so wild because that was also the same night as the WWE Hall of Fame when somebody attacked Bret Hart.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember word got around that Bret Hart got attacked in the Garden as the Supercard was going on. So already I was like kind of distracted and not paying attention. And then the Enzo thing happened, and like I'm completely like not paying attention to the next two matches. Like, is this Enzo thing you know, like it totally got me.
You know, like the more I think about that show, it was a disaster. And and like I think about it so fondly because Okada and Jay closed the show. And it's like, man, I got to see Okada win the title at Madison Square Garden to headline it. Like that was just such a like, you know, you remember it when you're 60 kind of thing. But then I think about the other show and I'm just like, that ladder match with like Matt Taven winning it. Not a big Matt Taven fan, but like I was like, what is this? You know, what am I watching? And why is it an hour long? You know, whereas like, so I think about, and then the Enzo thing and then the Bret Hart thing, you know, it was such a like, what the fuck is going on here? So, but the last match made up for most of it. You know?
Well, that Supercard, I feel like the New Japan half was incredible.
Yeah, it was.
And the Ring of Honor half, it kind of exposed how they were running on fumes at that point. Like when you take out all the New Japan talent, all of the Ring of Honor talent, they can't compare or they couldn't compare to how good the New Japan talent.
It wasn't even close, man. I mean, they had Brody King, you know, like, and that was it. Or PCO too, of course, like it's cool, but like, you know, it was just like, Cheeseburger and, you know, Jay Lethal's doing the Macho Man thing and Matt Taven. I was like, I'm good. I'm good on this, you know?
I just remember it was like Liger and Muda as the last two people in the Battle Royal, and I'm losing my shit because there's great Muda. And then Kenny King comes in and eliminates both of them and wins, and it's like, who cares about Kenny King? Like, of all the people, Kenny King gets the rub here?
Man, there was definitely like a lot of questionable stuff, and like it was weird. I think about it and I'm like, man, it was a disaster. It was crazy. But like I think about it so fondly because it was like Jay White and Okada, like two of the best ever, I guess, you know, like maybe Jay's got a lot more to prove, but like, I mean, Okada's my top 5. And like you're watching that like historic title change, like it was cool. So but yeah.
But we're not here to criticize old Ring of Honor booking. We're here to criticize current AEW booking.
Yeah.
And I agree with you. AEW is my favorite. Dynamite is my favorite wrestling show of the week. I will watch Dynamite. Like I watch Dynamite every week. The only other show I watch every week, I would say, is SmackDown, which I think is WWE's tightest production. And it, like, I just refuse to watch Raw anymore. It's such a plotting thing. I'll watch it maybe the next morning. If I heard something, I'll watch some clips. But you get everything you need by watching SmackDown. If anything of note happened on Raw, they're going to show it on SmackDown. So you're set. But Dynamite, I genuinely look forward to every Wednesday. I avoid making plans Wednesday nights just because I just want to watch Dynamite. That's how big of a wrestling dork I am. But I have to say, for me personally, going into this pay-per-view Revolution this weekend, this is the least excited I've been for an AEW pay-per-view in a while, which is not to say I don't think it'll be a good pay-per-view. I'm sure it'll be great.
It'll be great.
Just the hype and the kind of momentum machine, I feel like AEW is really struggling right now. And it's kind of, they've kind of been stammering, I feel, ever since All Out, ever since the incident, and they kind of killed their momentum. I feel they kind of got back with the last pay-per-view, Full Gear. That was a really fun show, and then the next few weeks after that of TV were really good. But then they just kind of like it took too long between the pay-per-views. There was like just too many filler episodes of Dynamite, and then it felt like, oh shit, the pay-per-views in 3 weeks. We got to rush together and put a card. So with that said, like the undercard, I'm not that excited about. What are your feelings, each of you, Tom and Brian, on AEW at the moment?
Man, so I was like, as I was like setting this up, I was like, man, I'm like doing this podcast probably to just get eaten alive because, man, so I'm watching it no matter what, because they've never done a bad pay-per-view ever. It's always good. Can't say I give a fuck about Bryan Danielson and MJF. Like, I just don't care. Like, and it's gonna be good because I love them both, but I feel like I'm so invested because I love the fucking dirt sheet stuff. I do. And I know that like that might be lame or whatever, but like, no, I like it. So I listen to a lot of wrestling shows every day, you know? So like, and they talk about it, and I just know that Bryan Danielson will not win a title from a younger person like this. He has said he doesn't want to be a champion. He said, like, I'm here to put people over. So I'm like, I just go into it and I'm like, I hate knowing who's going to win, you know what I mean? And like, I am intrigued to see how Max does in an hour-long match with you know, someone as good as Bryan. But yeah, and then to be honest, like, I mean, the trios match is a match I've wanted to see for a long time. But then other than that, like, I mean, like, I kind of don't even know most of the card going into it. Whereas like the other pay-per-views, I'm like, oh, I can't wait for this shit. Oh, I can't wait for this shit. You know, like the tag team title thing, like weird switch to the Guns. Like I would have kept that on Acclaimed, like, and now it's like there's some 4-way for it, and I'm just like, okay. And the TNT title, like Joe and Wardlow, I feel like they fucked that up. I love Tony. They fucked that up, in my opinion. But yeah, I don't know. I could talk forever. I'm gonna let Brian.
Yeah, we're gonna go through match by match.
Yeah,
but yeah. So Brian, what are your overall thoughts
on AEW? I mean, I like it. I don't really think it's been bad. Now, you're never gonna get me to be excited about an hour-long match. I will say that, like, the main event, I like Bryan, and I think MJF has always sort of proven that he can go. And I am hoping it's like my kind of match where like there's a bunch of shit going on in it, people running in and stuff like that. I would love that. That's like my favorite kind of shit. Now, I don't think that's going to happen because that's just not the style of AEW. It's going to be them two wrestling, and maybe MJF will do some cheating. But like, I think other than maybe the tag and the women's match, I mean, I think it's been pretty good. I think Mox versus Hangman has been one of the best stories in wrestling in like forever. Like when people were talking about the bloodline and stuff, I was like, man, that Mox Hangman thing is mine. That's my favorite thing. I think it's the best story they've done in the fucking company. It's incredible. And I like that. I like that they don't shy away from like talking about concussions and stuff like that because they think somebody's going to sue them or something. So, or, you know, WWE has been sued for that. But yeah, I like that storyline quite a bit. So I'm very excited about that. And I like blood. So that's
if you like that feud, you got to like blood because you're going to get a fucking lot of it. So
yeah, I love that shit. And I love like, I just think that I think people, I understand the idea of like, this is maybe not the best built show, but I do think Dynamite has been very consistent over the past few weeks. And I think that like it's time now for this show to happen and then sort of turn over the thing. This
Just
show
reset.
is the end of an era, I think, or some sort of era, you know. And I think Brian could win.
It's a climax.
Yeah. And I think, you know, Double or Nothing is their big show. It's either that or All Out. I never know which one's their big show, but I do think they put on good stuff for Double or Nothing. And I also think, like, you know, it's possible we get some pretty crazy matches after this one.
Yeah, I agree. I do agree that we are at the point now where all of these storylines just need to wrap up after the show, and we'll go through them, especially the ones we think we need to wrap up. But let's get going through the card. The first match I want to talk about is the controversial Tag Team Championship 4-way match with the World Tag Team Champions, the Guns, who I agree with you, Tom. I was surprised to see them win. I figured the only reason they're winning was just to give the Acclaimed a chase. And so it's the Guns, the Acclaimed, Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lethal, and surprisingly, Orange Cassidy and Danhausen.
Now that's to me. I find that to be the fact that FTR aren't in the match is very funny to me. I think that's funny. Like,
I'll tell you this much too. First, let the record show the Guns incredible. Love them, right? They're fucking great. However, when they won, it was like confusing. And if you wanted this whole chase like heat angle, you should have let Jeff Jarrett and Jay win it when they false won it. And when they false won it, the place went nuts. They went nuts. They would be so mad because everyone secretly likes Jeff Jarrett and
yes.
but they love to hate him. You know what I mean? So
10 years ago, Jeff Jarrett had X-Pac go away heat, which I don't think that's a fair term. I think X-Pac is underrated, but you get the point. Like, I did not want to see him on my television. Now I love this version of Jeff Jarrett. He is there to be hated. He knows his role. He is a pro's pro. He knows how to get heat, and I've really been enjoying this run. Where is that Golden Globe, by the way? Like, are they gonna pay off that story here? Maybe.
I know, dude. I thought literally last night, I was watching the Golden State Warriors and Clippers game, and they had the Shaq in halftime. I was like, are they gonna pay Shaq off? Will they pay Shaq off in WWE? Where did he go in that fucking ambulance? You know?
Oh yeah.
So like they don't pay off certain things, but like whatever. That's wrestling. Like sometimes shit doesn't get paid off. But what I want to say is, since the trio titles have come in, and like who has gone after the trio titles, where you have Death Triangle, now you have House of Black, like the tag team division was carried by the Acclaimed and is being neglected by everyone else. And this graphic that I'm looking at is the exact proof of it. Like, think about all the teams that are in AEW. This is the pay-per-view. Like,
yeah, I don't get it. Where's Top Flight?
Top Flight. Like, you let Top Flight win the $300,000. And now they can't, like, why is Orange Cassidy and Danhausen in it? Love Orange Cassidy and Danhausen. Like, I'll say this. I love everyone in AEW, when someone comes up that I don't like, I'll tell you. So assume that when I say something critique, I'm not saying I don't
all
like
of us are coming
them,
from a place of love. I think that's established. We're all AEW fans. We're not the haters. But there are problems here.
Oh, there's problems. And like, to me, I'm just like, there isn't a better team in there besides Orange Cassidy and Danhausen. Who they will probably have the best moments in that match of like just fun gimmick shit, but like, and even wrestling, they're like, you know, Orange Cassidy's fantastic, but I'm just like, man, like, you have all these people fighting for spots, and that's who's in there. Like, I just don't get that at all.
I think it sort of makes sense in that, like, okay, you have a bunch of people on the outside expecting FTR to come in. Maybe you don't have FTR. Maybe you sent FTR home because one of the guys in that tag team is one of the biggest babies I've ever seen on the internet. And like, I think like, okay, so now we have to put somebody in this tag match, which they didn't even have to do. You don't need a 4-way. It could have just been a 3-way, but they, in their mind, they had already booked out deciding that they were going to do something in this match. They moved Top Flight over to Ring of Honor, I think, from what I've read. And I just think that, like, who can we put in this match that won't make people mad that they're missing FTR? And Danhausen and Orange Cassidy should be on all the pay-per-views. He's one of the guys in the company, and maybe you could say he should have done a could say he should have done a singles match or defend the title. But I think that the booking of putting Danhausen and Orange Cassidy in that match was specifically because people expected something, and he needed to put somebody in there that wasn't going to make people mad, you know?
Yeah.
I
think another thing is, sorry, go ahead.
I just don't think everyone should be on every show.
Yeah.
So like,
I think also with our match, they had to basically cut like 3 matches. They usually have like 12 matches on a 12 matches on a card. And like you said, Orange Cassidy is one of their featured stars. They needed to find a spot for him. So I think they just kind of threw him in here. This is a match of complete circumstance, I feel.
I mean,
but
it's
overall,
sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but like, it's like, you don't book every year when a festival comes on, you don't put the same bands on it because everyone needs to play. Like, no, like, just I like when the shows are shorter. Like, I like 2.5, 3 hours. Like, I don't want to watch, like, so WrestleMania being split up, like, cool. Whereas like AEW's now, it's like the last show was like 4.5, 5 hours long, and it's like, that is tough to do. And then so I just don't think that everyone should be on every show.
I agree. And I feel like when they do those 5-hour shows, the main event kind of suffers because by then you're just so exhausted. You can't really. And I was there for Full Gear. I was in Jersey for that show live, and we were I was just tired, you know, I stopped drinking at that point. So like, you know, it's like the hangovers is coming, and like, I'm just like ready for bed thinking about like driving home, and you don't want that feeling. You want to be engaged. They did get us back into it in the second half, but it definitely took the main event a while to get the crowd right. Cause also there's just been 3.5 hours of amazing action. You can only take so much.
And I went to Double or Nothing, and where Punk won the title, and man, that show, like, I got my fucking ass kicked. I was so tired, and thankfully that, like, I guess it was Blackpool versus the Inner Circle, or it was JS. It was So once they didn't cut the music and the music was going, everyone started standing up and started screaming, and they were like, "We're watching, like, you know, New Jack." Like, you know, like the music's going, everyone's beating, and like no one was expecting it to be that chaotic, and there's shit everywhere. So like that was crazy, but then it kind of killed, like, the main event took half of it to come back. And you know, but then I think about all, like, I've been to a good amount of AEW shows this time. Like, I saw fucking Daniel Bryan and Kenny, and like that was the first match, and it was like exhausting afterwards. Anything afterwards. I went to even CM Punk in Chicago coming back on Rampage. Hour-long show. CM Punk just came out for 20 minutes and talked. And afterwards, you're like, I can go home. I'm done. Like, I didn't even watch wrestling. I'm just like, the guy just talked. But everyone's screaming and you're up and stuff like that. So, like, I just wish that was taken into account of it, you know, more. Because even I think about when Adam Cole came to AEW, I think did Adam Cole and Daniel Bryan, they debuted at the same time, right?
Yeah.
I don't remember what the match was before it. I don't remember because
Kenny and Christian. I think it was Kenny and Christian, if I'm not mistaken. I might be wrong about that.
Oh, but see, I did love that feud though. And when Christian beat Kenny for the Impact title, fucking awesome. So, but I just couldn't remember, and I'm just like, and I was just tired, and then it took like the debuts to like get me up again, you know. So long shows.
Can't sleep all night.
Yeah, and then I'm like, oh, Adam Cole versus Eddie Kingston. That'll be good on the mic and in the ring. You know, you start thinking of crap like that.
So who's winning this tag? Who's winning the tag titles? I'm saying the Acclaimed win them back. Who do you guys think?
Yeah, sure. It ain't Dan. Go ahead, sorry, Brian.
Possibly. I mean, I don't think. I guess I'm different in that, like, they don't really need the title. They're a team that will be. They're made now. They're done. So I don't know. I think you try to fit them on the show without the title and keep it on the Guns, because I really like the Guns. I think they're good heels. Like, really fucking good heels.
Great heels.
Yeah. They their sell that the way they sell is just some of the best. It's insane how few matches they've had. So
okay.
Yeah,
so you're picking the guns.
I would just keep it on the fucking guns for now.
Yeah.
All right, yeah, I think they could extend the feud really too.
I think
they don't need to switch for you.
To be honest, what happens is the guns win, and then FTR comes back and beats them. Is absolutely my guess. I don't think FTR aren't coming back. I think they're working right now.
Yeah, this feels like they'll work. When AEW didn't congratulate them on winning the Observer Awards, I was just like, okay, this is too much. All right, moving on. A feud that I totally forgot about until 2 weeks ago. Jungle Boy Jack Perry versus Christian Cage. This is one of, I think, the big problems. Now, I give them the excuse here. Of course, Christian had the bad injury, so he couldn't be on TV for a while, so they kind of dropped it. But I feel like Jungle Boy, they put him in that like Jungle Hook feud, which was fun. Then they totally dropped it, forgot about it. And then 2 weeks later, he's like, hey, remember Christian hates him. And we're supposed to like be back on it. And I feel like this is what we were sort of talking about with how they're kind of Jungle Boy is one of their guys and they're kind of killing his momentum here. Like I think he's going to win, but I want Christian to win here. Christian has been really, really good in this feud. He's been such a great heel. He's been really showing his worth and his value and how he's been underrated. This is a big match for both of them, I think. And I think it makes more sense for Christian to win.
I think Christian could lose. I think Christian's going to lose. And Christian is such a beast that there is no way he won't get his heat back. I think you have Jungle Boy beat him and then come out and because he's the best promo in the company. I think the best heel promo in the company. But that's controversial because I don't like MJF's promos. So I
think you're right. He is what MJF is trying to do. I think MJF always like the last few weeks. I think really exposed MJF because they made him just come out and do the same promo, and he didn't really have motivation as much. And like I didn't really like that promo he did about the car accident with
that was so funny. I love that. I want to come on record and say that was one of his best promos. That killed me. As soon as he was done with that, I was like, oh, I gotta check the timeline. This is exciting.
It took me out of it. It was so stupid that I was just I didn't like it, and like ever since then I feel like MJF has gone down, but we're not talking about him. Christian's the best. I see what you're saying with Jungle Boy.
I will say my friend said to me like a couple of weeks ago, he said Christian over Edge, and I was like, no way. And then you start thinking like, actually I think I'd like Christian way more than Edge too. And I think the last Dynamite was perfect example of that. What I would have done is, because everyone forgot about this, that's a good thing, is why don't you let Jungle Boy be the next one up for the title, and then like let Jungle Boy win a couple matches, get into a program with Max or whatever, and then come back and then screw Jungle Boy, and no one would see it coming. You could get it to the point where he's like beating Max down, right, and then come back. And then the last second, Christian Cage comes out and do it. Like the place would go fucking crazy. And then you could do Christian Cage and Jungle Boy, right? This feels like it just came back too quick again to get Jungle Boy on the show. Because like the Jungle Hook thing, forgot about that. And then I'm like thinking about what Hook's doing. It's like he just fought Matt Hardy, and I'm just like, what is fucking going on? It's like, Jungle Boy, Wardlow. I'm trying to think of who else like they're like homegrown, even the Acclaim and stuff like that. Like it just feels like their homegrown guys are getting put to the side a tiny bit. So I don't know. I want Christian to win because I just don't think like after all of this, just Jungle Boy comes back and beats him. Like I'd rather Christian win, and I want him to beat the fuck out of him. I want him to destroy Jungle Boy. I love him, and I want him to get his like revenge on him sooner or later. But like, I feel like Christian's got to come in here and just dominate him, So,
and moving on, one person I think AEW has done right by lately is the AEW Women's World Champion Jamie Hayter She's defending her title in a triple threat match against Saraya and Ruby Soho. This match could be good. The wild card, I think, is Saraya because she's been very, very rusty. Obviously, she hasn't had much ring time in the last few years, but she is the biggest star in the women's division, so they want to feature her. I think Jamie Hayter is a fucking hoss. I love her. I think it's way too soon for them to do anything where she would lose the title. And Ruby Soho is great too, and maybe a little underutilized lately. But I guess she was out injured, so that's kind of why she hadn't been on TV. I think Jamie Hayter comes away the winner here, and I think this will be a well put together match. Like, this will be fun.
I don't think. Go ahead.
I think Saraya stinks. She is not a good wrestler, and not a good promo. And you sort of wish she would have maybe watched some of the show before she started coming in and cutting promos. But hopefully they sort of throw her out of the ring and have Hayter fight with Ruby for a while, and that'll be good. But Saraya has been not great.
I think Jamie ain't losing that title to anyone but Britt down the line. And I think she is the best women's wrestler, one of the best in the world right now. And I think they're making a star out of her when, I feel like the crowd almost kind of took that over, where they all really wanted to see her do it, and she did it. And I mean, I think about who the runs were before this: Toni Storm and Thunder Rosa, which weren't great runs in my opinion. And so I think she's killing it, and they got to keep running with her. And then do it to where I think the biggest woman, star in the company is Britt, and do it so that where you could get Britt fucking major heat because everyone loves Jamie, and have something there, So I think the match will be fine, and I think if anything, Saraya will benefit on it being a three-way because the other two will carry it, and then she just has to have a couple moments, which she can definitely do. She doesn't have to do a one-on-one 15-minute match. It's just come in here, have a big spot, come in here, have a big spot, come in here, have a big spot, and then that's it. Whereas the actual wrestlers are the other two. So, but definitely has to be Jamie winning for sure.
Yeah, I was out.
And
I was in Chicago for All Out last year, and Jamie Hayter was one of the most over people during the show. And then I think I saw her in every time I've gone recently, the crowd just kind of organically went to her, and she's, she is the best wrestler in that division, and should probably even beat Britt. Actually, I think she should have a very long title run.
I'd love that.
Yeah, and she could have a great match with anyone. What sold me on her a year and a half ago when Dynamite was in Long Island, she had a match against Riho, and she fucking threw her around like Riho was like a rubber band, and I was like, oh my god, this woman is tough.
Mm-hmm.
That's when she won me over, and I think that was the kind of star for her.
Love her using the Rainmaker as the finisher.
Oh yes,
amazing, fantastic. She had a crazy counter the other day. I forgot who she was. She was in a match on Dynamite or maybe Rampage, and she countered someone and hit him with it, and I was just like, man, she's a fucking natural. She's so good.
Mm-hmm. Moving on, we have the TNT Championship. Samoa Joe, the king of television, defending his championship against the freshly haircutted Wardlow. Wardlow's doing it for his poppy. His dad had a beard and long hair when Wardlow died, so Wardlow grew out his hair in tribute to his dad. Samoa Joe, that dastardly heel, cut it off. Do we see a title change here, or will Samoa Joe retain only to lose to Powerhouse Hobbs on Dynamite next week? What do you guys think? Let's start with Tom.
I hope he loses.
Oh,
sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I do feel like it's time for Hobbs to get that. So
yeah, that's what I want.
Yeah, I don't know if I want Wardlow to win and then just lose again. But I also don't want to lose to Joe. Booking yourself in a corner on this one for sure. But I love all three of them. It's great. It really, whatever it ends up on is cool. What other I don't think the trios titles are moving. The women's isn't moving. The main isn't moving. I feel like they'll move this one. So I feel like you can't have no title changes on a pay-per-view. Maybe you can, but
Yeah, Wardlow did. I mean, he's dedicating it to his dad. He looked like a real scrub if he didn't win. Yeah. And he already kind of looks like a scrub. Like, think about how hot he was at Double or Nothing last year, when he finally broke away from MJF. Everyone wanted him to see him destroy MJF. MJF pulled that political move or whatever, where he didn't show up to the signing. He became the story. Totally ruined Wardlow's momentum since then, and I don't think he's really recovered. He had a pretty weak title reign. They really need to rebuild him because this guy has the potential to be a future world champion.
I love him.
I think he's going to win. I think he's going to win here. What do you think, Brian?
I like Joe, so I'm going with Joe on this one. I love this run. Joe's promos are very funny. So I would like to see Joe retain and lose to Powerhouse, and then Powerhouse Hobbs should have a run all the way to at least Double or Nothing, and maybe get a match on Double or Nothing. But that TNT title only makes it on like a quarter of the pay-per-views, so who knows?
Yeah, I think they need to get it off Joe, just because I feel like, as much as I love Joe, I don't think I think he's at near the end of his career. He can't really go as hard as he used to. And this is not at all a criticism. I'm just saying, they need to protect him and save him for those special moments, like that match he had with Darby, which was awesome. I think he works better in those matches where he's with some sort of junior heavyweight that he could dominate. And this is a bigger challenge for him because he can't really throw around Wardlow and do his monster heel offense with Wardlow. So it'll be interesting to see how they mesh along. Moving along, this is the match I personally am most looking forward to, the Trios Championship match. This is going to guarantee to be a bang. I can't imagine this being any less than a banger. It's the Elite versus the House of Black. When they first announced when Malachi Black first came into AEW, one of my dream scenarios was him versus Kenny Omega. When Buddy Matthews came into AEW, and Buddy Matthews has stolen a lot of his offense from Kenny Omega, I was like, oh, it'd be so cool to see them. So to see these guys with Omega, the Young Bucks always deliver, always make their opponent shine. All of these 6 men are professionals. So I can't imagine it'll be anything but great.
Man, yeah. As soon as they made the trios titles, you start booking it in your head, and that's always one you wanted to see. And man, there, depending on where they put that in the card, a lot of times they open with Kenny and the Bucks. If they do that here, they're fucked. They're gonna fuck it because it's gonna be the match of the show. There's just no way. There's just no way that it won't be. And so if they open with it, it's gonna be crazy. But yeah, man, it's gonna be a fucking insane match.
But yeah, I think it's too soon for them to lose. I wouldn't mind a title change, but I think the Elite are gonna retain. What do you think, Brian?
I think you take the titles off the Elite and give Kenny a singles run and the Bucks a tag team run. And I don't think they're ever splitting up like the House of Black. I think that's a 3-man team. I mean, I am not a fan of the House of Black, but that is basically all spooky stuff. I don't like any spooky wrestling stuff. I think it's the worst stuff. I think they're good enough wrestlers, and I like Brody King a lot. I'd like to see him have a singles run, but I really think you take the titles off the Bucks and Kenny, because Kenny should be doing, and I know his contract stuff is going on, so maybe they just don't want him in a singles runs until he signs a contract. But I just think you take the titles off of him, because Kenny should be wrestling singles matches and the Bucks should be in the tag team division. There's no reason for them to be in the trios division.
I think you're spot on with that. I also think spooky shit sucks. However, whereas stuff like Bray Wyatt and like that falls, because the House of Black is so ferocious in the ring that it the spooky shit sells me. Because do you remember when I think it was Darby and Brody King, and it was a battle royal? I have never seen an elimination like this where he choked him out and then dropped his dead lifeless body out. That's, to me, is these guys are more like cult killer people rather than spooky shit. You know what I mean? So
I think that that fuck, what is this? Malachi Black developed a lot of bad habits in WWE. And I think that he also that style of promo that they do in WWE, I think that was taught to him in NXT. And somebody needs to just tell him, like, be concise in a promo, because like nobody knows what the fuck you're talking about ever. It never makes sense. And that's the thing that I think hurts them. I don't care if they're like goth guys. I think that's cool to be like goth heavy metal Satanists or whatever. It's just when they cut promos, I just am like, oh my fucking God, this fucking Bray Wyatt. I just say a bunch of words and the storyline never moves. It's just confusing and I think it's silly. I think that they do spooky semi right in that like nothing they do is magic. So I do like that.
Good, yeah. Magic is magic. I'm out. Like, there's no way.
There's no way. That promo style, man. I hated it. I was like maybe one of the first people were very early on disliking Bray Wyatt and his style of promo, because I always felt like the story never moved and nothing he said made sense. It's just a bunch of words that they think would be in like a dark book or something like that.
I mean, I'll go a step further and like, listen, like I love his in-ring work, but like I also for the longest time didn't give a fuck about the Undertaker. Me too. I don't care. Like Undertaker, you know, he's maybe like the poster person of like my least favorite type of person in real life. And then also the spooky shit. But then it's like, you know, all right, the Shawn Michaels shit got me. I even love the Brock Lesnar shit, would say, you know, the CM Punk stuff. So like, I like Undertaker in my head, but like when people like worship the guy, I'm like, spooky shit sucks. Now, what you said, I think House of Black does spooky shit the best. Still don't like it. But when they go to the ring, I believe that they're trying to kill the other team that they're playing. They're fighting. So I'm like, so I'm all about it because it's believable. Again, the choking Darby out while he's on the other side of the top rope and just letting his body fall. Obviously, a lot of props to Darby because he's just crazy. But like to me, I'm like, man, these people are believable killers. Like that, if I thought about like walking into a room and seeing three guys like that, like I'm like, all right, these guys are gonna fuck me up. That's just what's gonna happen. So I think they should win. I think you're spot on that Kenny should be a singles run, even if he is leaving, which I don't think he will. I want to see him with Adam Cole beforehand, you know, one-on-one. I'd like to see him back with Hangman again, you know, like
him and Brian.
We never really got that to like have that third or fourth kind of like meeting with them, but you could never get old of that. And I mean, MJF too, like I'd love to see that. There's so much stuff that he could do that I want to see him and go back to the fucking tag team picture we put up. They need the Bucks. That division needs the Bucks desperately, and they don't. The three trios doesn't need that. So, I think House of Black should take it for sure.
Yeah, I think that's a good point, Brian, and I absolutely agree that all three of them in the Elite are completely wasted in the trios division. That the other division, like Kenny Omega, needs to be in the main event. Like they have it. Like they need to give him back that run. So yeah, that would be good. Moving on, there's 2 minutes.
Put him in a personal issue match too. Like you don't have to have all title matches. Like Hangman and Mox is a personal issue match that feels bigger than the title match. I think. Like I think that match to me feels more important than any of the matches with titles on them. So Kenny could be in a feud with somebody that doesn't have a title and just be nasty to each other too, you know? And we just want, basically all I'm saying is I want to see Kenny Omega in singles matches with fucking AR Fox would be so cool. Takeshita would be so cool, which I think might be happening.
We need that for sure.
Yeah. I think that might be happening, but like, cause I think they turn Kenny. I think that like we're moving toward the Bucks and Kenny losing those trios titles, and then Kenny turning babyface and having Don Callis chase him with Takeshita is my guess.
Love it.
I'd be into that. Yeah, like I remember seeing Wrestle Kingdom when Omega faced Ospreay in January and wondering where is this Omega in AEW? Exactly. like this is
he's too busy.
Omega I love.
He's too busy doing the fucking like, you know, the trio shit, where it's just such a like, you over here and then over here and then I'll come over here. It's too much of that. Whereas like, I mean, that's the match of the year was with Ospreay, and it's like, that's what I want. I want to see that kind of Kenny, and I love the trio shit. I think it's great. But House of Black are a legit trio, and I get that we all know that they're friends, the Elite, but like they're meant for like one of the best matches I've ever seen too. The Bucks versus Pentagon and Phoenix in that cage for the title. Let them go do fucking tag shit, okay? Let Kenny go do single shit. That's where they both belong. We got the best of 7 from them. Like we've gotten more than we've needed from them as trios. So move on. Like it made the titles legitimate because of them and Death Triangle. Let it go. Let them move on and do singles and tag, and we're chilling.
Yeah, you definitely also want to hope. And I like I said, I don't have any. I know that Kenny hasn't signed a contract yet, or
it's up in November. I think it's extended till November.
AEW is generally not forthcoming anyway about contracts or anything, so he could have signed. I think MJF has signed for a good long time for sure. I don't think his contract is up in 2024, but like I just think like there's so much more you can do with Kenny as a singles guy, and I think that's what they should be doing. And there are trios in the company. I mean, you can put the Acclaimed and Billy Gunn in that trios division.
All for that.
People will go fucking crazy for it.
Yeah. They would do much better in that division than the tag team division too, because it's not as serious. Yeah, I agree. Moving on to the match that I think we're all the most looking forward to, more so than the actual main event, the Texas Death Match, Jon Moxley versus Adam Page. I've loved the build up to this. I love that Adam Page won his match with a roll up, and he didn't find it satisfactory enough because it was like almost a fluke win. And it was the perfect way to set up this match. This is a completely earned Texas Death Match. This stipulation is needed for this because it is a definitive result. The Texas Death Match, it is essentially a last man standing match where you get pinned and then, or I don't even know if you have to get pinned, right? If you're down, you have until the count of 10 to get up. And if you don't, you lose.
Yeah, not sure I love it. I love bloody death matches. I love Jon Moxley. I love Hangman, and like I said, I like realistic stories that are built on like real life stuff. Hangman gets a concussion. Now, if this happens in WWE, they just avoid all that. He goes away and comes back, and there's another reason that they had heat. So like this is just right up my alley. Something bad happens, you take that and you make it part of the story, and you continue going. That's what they do in Japan. That's why people like Japanese wrestling more, Yep.
And even like the good stuff in WWE, that was like Becky getting her fucking face broken and stuff, like they went on with that, and like, so I love that stuff. And I think they fucking smashed it because they took him getting hurt with the concussion and they made it a real thing, but like, it wasn't like lame. Like then Moxley's talking shit to Hangman, but Hangman wasn't cleared, so he couldn't touch him. So like it just added to this, like, you want to see these guys kill each other. And I just think in a way those two are like Stone Cold and The Rock. Like those guys bring the best out of each other. There's like Brett and Sean, whatever you want to say. Like in the ring, they bring the best out of each other. And Moxley brings the best out of everybody, but like he just makes Hangman the wrestler that I think everyone wants him to be. And so that's why I think Hangman's winning this one, as he should. And it's going to be probably the best Hangman match you've seen. And I mean, Moxley's like one of the best ever at this point, like, I mean, the guy's done so much, and I think he's only proven that he was underutilized where he was before AEW. And so, yeah, I can't wait. I think this match is going to be fucking great.
Yeah, I agree that Hangman needs to win here. Like Moxley could afford to lose. Like nobody
Absolutely.
is gonna, like he is Teflon, like he cannot lose. Much like with Christian, he can't lose heat. He'll recover with one promo. Moxley's the guy they're trying to make. Hangman's the guy they're trying to make. Hangman's the guy that really needs a little more momentum. So yeah, I can see it. I hope this match goes on last, because Bryan Danielson has been saying in interviews that he would love to open the event with the Iron Man match. I think that would be great because I'm really like you said, Brian. Like I'm not looking forward to like an hour match. It will feel so tedious 3 hours into the show, whereas right at the top of the show, you still have all that energy to make it through. Plus, if they do the Texas Death Match right before this world title match, like I've gone to Ring of Honor shows like 20 years ago, but when Brian was on top, and I would hate that. Like they would have the craziest like Briscoe street fight tag match, and then Bryan Danielson comes out and tries to do like an old school British style wrestling match at like 11:45 at night. And it was brutal. It made me not like Bryan Danielson at the time when he was the Ring of Honor champion. And they're going to have to try to do the same thing here, and it just won't work. The crowd will be dead. I think they should do the world title match first. I don't think anyone's thinking Brian is. Does anyone think Brian is going to win? I don't think he is.
No, there's just no way. And just to touch on it, if they're smart, it goes first. They're not gonna. It's gonna go last.
Yeah,
it's a 100% go last. And like, I think that both of them are smart enough to come up with something to keep people engaged, because they didn't come up with a 60-man Iron Man match 3 weeks ago. They probably came up with this 6 months ago. And I think that they've had enough time to think about it. Like, how do we keep them engaged? But man, if you have it first, everyone's hot. It's going to be fucking great. And then you know that if the Texas Death is last, then you know it's going to get people back into it. So, and then you can put the trios title in the middle. And then to me, that's how you keep everyone around for the whole time. And everyone else benefits from it. But man, that thing going on at, 10 o'clock and finishing at 11:15 with whatever shit happens afterwards, like, it just feels like a big mistake. I just don't think the feud is good enough for me to care about it at 10:30 or 10:45 at night.
Yeah, the hope is that it goes on at 10 and Tony Khan takes the advice that not every show has to be 5 hours long. I don't think he will. I think this thing's going on at like 10:45, but the hope is that they don't do that. It seems like this could be a show that could end at 11 very easily. So that's what I hope.
Yeah. I'm also talking Central Time. I'm on Central Time. So like, I'm thinking like, oh, I hope it's over by midnight Eastern. Cause like Tony has the tough job of everyone asking him for shit and they want to be on the show and he's got to try to accommodate all these people. So he jams it on and they only have 4 pay-per-views a year. So they're jamming it on. Everyone's got to get pay-per-view time. And again, that's the theme for me, that like the one thing I don't like is that they're just trying too much to accommodate everyone when I just don't even think that benefits the wrestlers. Like I get it, like, they're fucking eager to work or whatever, but I just think like if they come back ever so often, like if Moxley loses this match, go away for 6 months. I don't want to see him. I don't want to see him. And then when he comes back, he will be fucking the biggest in the company. But if he comes back on next Wednesday, everyone's going to go, oh, fuck yeah, I love Moxley.
Yeah, I feel like you could run this company with basically giving people off seasons and just being like, okay, you're going to work 2 pay-per-view cycles and then go home for a pay-per-view cycle or 2. Mm-hmm. And I think they have enough people in the company to do that. I think that's maybe where they're headed, though, because it does. The big rumor going around in that I've heard and that I've read is that like Powerhouse Hobbs is up for a really big push that's coming, and there's like a couple other people that you haven't seen for a while that are up for really good pushes, and then there's the people complain about not seeing that just don't want to work, like Miro just won't work with them to figure out a storyline, from what I've read. Andrade wants to go back and work for Triple H.
Yeah, we might not be seeing him. Yeah, I don't think we're going to be seeing him.
I also think he's hurt. I think he's also might be hurt, but
Roosh is better. Don't tie Roosh down with Andrade. Roosh is like number 3 best wrestler in the company, probably, in my opinion.
The match with Brian was so good a few weeks ago.
He should be. I hope he's in the next pay-per-view cycle. I think like him and who's the guy that runs around with him?
Pero, whatever.
Yeah, they could end up if they end up in a tag division, that's very exciting because I love Roosh. He's everything I like about pro wrestling. Like a guy that will fake an injury so that he can get out of a contract, a guy that won't lose, a guy that beats the crap out of people he doesn't like. So he's very missed on this pay-per-view for me.
I mean, I think they're even doing that with Darby right now, where he ain't around, and that is a good thing, because then when he comes back, he's gonna be fucking like hot, you know. And I think that should be the move. Like I don't like that. Oh, every show's got to have Moxley. Every show's got to have Bryan Danielson. Like, you know, every show's got to have Kenny in the Bucks. Like, you know, when Kenny was gone with his injury and he came back, he was huge. People could go away for that long, but don't need to be injured. Also, you keep them healthier, hungrier, happier by doing this as well. So,
Well, speaking of Punk, is there any chance if we do get MJF versus Danielson as the last match, is there any chance with MJF winning, Punk comes out at the end to challenge him?
I mean, there's a chance that Punk fucks MJF and Bryan Danielson gets the title, and then Punk and MJF spin off into a feud.
Yeah,
I mean, that is maybe the best possible finish. I don't know if Punk's ready. I don't know if he's going to be there. It does seem like he's coming back.
His injury, him and Christian got injured at the same time, and they had the same kind of injury. So if Christian's back, he's got to be like almost back. You know,
you can't put Punk in a title. I just don't think you put him anywhere near the title.
Yeah, he doesn't need it,
especially after the stuff you read over last weekend that I had actually been hearing about since that time. There's this guy in a group chat that had been telling me everything that was on those tweets, and I was like, "You're fucking getting worked, dude."
So just to recap, are you talking about because so much has come out, the rumors that Punk like demanded the title and that he basically, the rumor is that he demanded the title, that he went to Tony Khan, said he didn't want to lose to Hangman, that it was supposed to be Hangman was supposed to lose to MJF, and Punk demanded it, and that he didn't want to lose, and then apparently that set off why MJF got pissed off at Double or Nothing, and I don't know. It's for me, I don't think Punk is that kind of a mark where he wants the world title. If anything, I think he wouldn't want the title.
I don't think he wanted to lose to Hangman, I think is actually what it was. I don't think he cares as much about the title. I think he did not want to lose to Hangman because he thinks Hangman is an empty-headed dumb fuck. And
that I believe.
I like I said, when that stuff came out from those Discord chats, I was like, fuck, man, everything that dude told me, because he was at the time, he was like, everybody backstage hates each other. Everything's fucked up. Here's some stuff that's going on back there. And I was like, somebody's fucking working you, dude. I don't think that's possible. You know, everybody's friends back there. And then when everything happened, it was like, holy fuck, all that stuff was true. And the Hangman stuff, the workers' rights promo was about Colt Cabana. And then the night of All Out, or the Dynamite before All Out, if you'll remember, there was a guy in the front row that Punk called a fat ass and a bunch of other stuff. He like went off on him right before a promo, and people were like, what the fuck? That guy was yelling something about Colt Cabana. And then when Punk wins at All Out and MJF comes out and people are cheering for MJF over Punk, it pissed him off. He went backstage and then, did the interview. And I think like that had been like a thing that was rolling downhill for months and months and months. I know he was pissed off that he thought the Elite were leaking stuff, which they probably were, but he was also doing the same thing. So
yeah, exactly. It's just a mess. I definitely feel like there's factions. You even see it on Twitter with like people liking tweets, like dunking on one of the parties. Like Jungle Boy liked to tweet dunking on Punk, and there's Brody is liking tweets wanting Punk back. Like people want Punk back. I think whereas
FTR doing all their podcasts about Punk too,
right? All their lobbying, and
even Renee and Kenny talking the other day about it. Like it came up again, and it's just like
Ricky and Powerhouse.
Everyone's talking about it for a reason. Everyone's talking about it for a reason. Like he's not coming back. Like Kenny, the motherfucker's high up in the company. You don't think he could have told Renee like, we're not talking about this. Like I'm done with this.
He's going. I think that like there's a lot going on with, we don't know what's true in like sort of the leaks that are happening. So the whole narrative that we have is this thing where Punk we'll never work with these guys and all this stuff. And then you'll hear like Kenny say maybe he will come back, and Punk's like, I want to come back and make money. And like, I just think that everybody on both sides of this are some of the last carnies in wrestling. And I don't know that I think Kenny's going to WWE. I think that is Kenny leveraging to get more money is my guess. And so I think all these rumors are there to throw people off, and that it is very possible that, because I've felt like this since this thing happened, you do a trios feud with Kenny and the Bucks and FTR and Punk. And then after that, you spin off Punk and Kenny, and then you spin off the Bucks and FTR, and you do that feud. You have almost
6 months,
8 months of feuds that nobody's getting sick of that, and it's going to draw like fucking crazy.
Yeah, main event shit. Yeah. And like, I mean, we've never gotten Punk and Kenny, have we?
Nope.
No. They've never been anywhere near each other.
Yeah, like, I mean, I just can't. I can't live the rest of my life without seeing that.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah.
So I just don't think he's going back. I just don't think he could go back.
I think he needs to. Where if you ask me the day after All Out, I would say there's no way Punk's coming back. No way. If you ask me today, I think there's no way he's not coming back. They need him. They need him.
They need him to. Yeah. Good.
Even the story of Tony, the weekend of was it All Out? Tony is sitting on the Punk's porch, booking out the next 6 months to keep Hangman out of the main event scene. It's like, there's no way Tony's not bringing.
I never heard that.
Oh yeah, that was part of
that. Was in that rumor. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, and really, and that's the thing. There's no bigger CM Punk fan than Tony Khan. Tony Khan would, like, at those media scrums before CM Punk called him an asshole to his face, you would just look at Tony Khan and he's like a smitten boyfriend who finally got his high school crush. You know, like, he is in love with CM Punk, so he wants it. I think it's going to happen. I hope it happens. I think as a fan, I want to see it.
I mean, I kind of want to see. I kind of
want
to see Jericho and Punk at this point too. Like, you know, because Jericho's have had a lot to say about that. I feel like that could be fun. Like, there's just so much fun shit that could be done.
Oh, I forgot about Jericho versus Starks. I missed that. What do we think about that match? Just
Ricky Starks.
Yeah, he has to win.
I mean, the whole thing of him just being like, man, that dude, like, that guy has got it, and he's got it in ring and
future world champion for sure.
Holy fuck. The whole thing of him, like 2 weeks ago with Jericho, where he's like, yeah, I don't need to fight you, man. We know they're gonna come out, they'll interfere. He's like, fine, I'll do it without blah blah. And then he signs it and he walks away and then he just winks at the camera. I'm like, I love this guy so fucking much. Like, that's it. It's just little fuck. He didn't do anything but wink, and it tells you so much. Like, I think he's great, man.
I'm a big fan of Jericho too. I'm one of the last remaining Jericho guys.
I like Jericho a lot.
I like him. I think he gets a hard time.
I mean, he gets a hard time for the fucking January 6th, like, Trump shit. I guess. But you know, to me, if we're looking at wrestling, I mean, he's top 5 for me.
He's been so good for like the past 6 to 8 months. Like, I think he's been fucking great. Yep. And I think here's what I would do, and this is just because I'm mean. I would have Jericho win because Ricky Starks got photographed at the Royal Rumble. I'd be like, sorry, Rick, you don't get the win. Like, you got caught. They all go to the shows. It's not that he went, it's that he got caught.
Okada got caught at SmackDown a couple years ago, so it's like they all go. You know, just like I go to a show of another band. It's the same thing. They're all friends. They don't give a fuck.
Yeah, they don't have any war. There's no promotional war between the wrestlers. They
probably all think it's funny.
The front office. Yeah,
picture was probably put out there on purpose. I would guess that Ricky also has a contract coming up, and that picture went out on purpose. Is my guess.
And because you could look at Ricky and think like, oh, this guy, WWE would love this guy, so it makes sense. And Tony probably freaks out about about losing a guy like that. But man,
WWE, his ceiling in WWE is Dolph Ziggler though. I think
Oh,
his ceiling
yeah,
in
of course.
AEW is title is heavyweight title, and his ceiling in WWE is Dolph Ziggler.
There just
like
is
Ricochet.
no, yeah. Oh, Adam Cole even like take NXT out of the thing. Like, sure, they threw Adam Cole a couple bones with like Survivor Series, SmackDown stuff, but like, you think if that guy went to the main roster, they want him to be a fucking manager. You know what I mean? So it's like, so he has zero future in there. Like, I even get worried about Jay White. Like, if Triple H is there and Jay White's there, it's gonna be sick. But if Vince is back there, Jay White will be fucking like a clown, like a literal clown.
I think Vince is in charge. There's two things that I think. I think Vince is in charge and Triple H is not a very good booker, but people are just like, yeah, I mean, he did a bunch of NXT that I really liked.
Yes,
and, I don't know. All I'm saying is I haven't cared about a WWE match more than I care about Omos versus Brock Lesnar in 5 years. Like, that is my most. I haven't watched any WWE in many years. I will watch that match. I'm very excited about it.
Yeah. Oh, it's gonna be good. Like, the best I heard is just like, does Omos know how to bump? I don't know, but he's gonna take him. Like, he'll take him.
We're gonna find out.
I'll tell you this. I love Brock. I like a lot of people are there like kind of iffy about him. I think he's incredible. Like, I'll take it. He's amazing. So even that's why like Jericho, Brock, like all those like polarized stuff, I usually end up liking them.
I would also say that like Brock, for me, the last WWE match I really loved that like I would put in a top 20 was Brock Lesnar versus Goldberg at that WrestleMania. That thing is fucking great.
It's awesome. It's awesome. But I'll tell you this too. Like, if I think about like moments I remember, I mean, Brock Lesnar and Goldberg at Survivor Series was like one of the like jaw dropping. Like, did he just fucking squash Lesnar? I think about it now, and I'm just and that's the same with Jericho. Like, him going to New Japan the first time, that like promo he cuts on Kenny, like I'll remember that forever. You know what I mean? So it's like those guys like that, and even like Brock Lesnar versus John Cena at SummerSlam, they do a whole package. They do a whole package, and it's Cena talking the whole time, and then it just cuts to Brock, and he goes, I'm going to hurt him, and it's gonna be bad. And that's all he said. And then he did. He threw him around 30 times.
That was so good.
So, man, Lesnar, like, love him. I think he's fucking great.
That match was incredible.
Dude, Lesnar and AJ Styles. Remember when they take the belt off Ginger, give it to AJ, and like a week before SummerSlam, which is fucking awesome. And then they have he's got him in the fucking calf crusher thing or whatever he calls it. And then Brock, how do I get out of this? Takes his head and just bashes it. Let's go. So, man, I could watch a million Brock Lesnar matches. I love him. I think he's great. And I mean, the Almost match is going to be fucking insane.
I've been the little tiny hints and rumors that fucking Tony Khan might have gotten Goldberg has got me so fucking excited. I'm freaking out. And I see people like, oh, you shouldn't hire him. And I'm like, you should always hire Goldberg. Goldberg's a very important guy to always hire.
Yeah, but also like, I mean, a lot of Goldberg shit sucks, but like when it's good, it's cool. Yeah. And like, and I think people like are just fresh off the mind of like his Fiend match and his Undertaker match, like where it's like, please stop, please stop. But if he did come in, like, of course, everyone's gonna watch Goldberg in AEW. Like, of course, everyone would go nuts. So it's like that's what's fun about people like that. So I don't know, wrestling's fun. Wrestling's cool.
Fellas, it's been so great to talk to you guys. I feel like we could talk for like another hour and bullshit about all the other stuff in pro wrestling that's happening. That's not Revolution, but we have lives and we must move on.
I literally can't believe we talked about Goldberg today. I'll say that much. I can't believe Goldberg made it onto this podcast.
If I'm around, you're going to talk about Goldberg and Almost for sure.
Thank you so much for making the time. Make sure to check out the new Straight from the Path record, Euthanasia. Tom, anything else to plug?
No, I mean, whatever. Listen to the record or don't, whatever.
Tom from Stray is the Twitter handle, right? Or
Tom's Twitter, Instagram is all that. Stray's going to Europe with Beartooth and Motionless in White on Monday. It'll be it's gonna be pretty big. And then I don't know. Whatever.
And if you listen to podcasts, Brian's your guy. He's got plenty of them. Street Fight Radio. Guys.
Oh, no.
Shocktober.
Street Fight is over.
Oh, Street Fight's over. Oh, okay.
Yeah, we don't do that. But guys, a podcast about guys. Also, we got the POD cast, which is a podcast about new metal that I would think people on here would really enjoy.
Yeah, absolutely. An excellent. You deep dive into a new metal record every time. I love it.
Yeah, and then my Patreon's MurderX Brian. Patreon.com/MurderXBrian. That's where you'll get Shocktober and all the crazy shit I do over there. Right now, I'm doing a podcast called Welcome to My TED Talk on my Patreon, which is me and a different guest every week talk about a half hour of the movie Ted and Ted 2. So we are reviewing Ted and Ted 2 in half-hour chunks with different people.
That's important. Very important.
God, that sounds so awful and fantastic. That's crazy.
Well, thank you guys, and enjoy the show. Enjoy Revolution.
Thanks for having me.
I will. Thanks for having me.